I'm talking about today how to make money as an aspiring analyst, especially because I'm helping a community member try to figure out how to pay rent immediately. So you want to think about this as a short-term emergency income system for aspiring analysts. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, there's a community member that I'm helping out that is running out of unemployment and needs to make money to make rent because they got their eviction notice. There are very unique scenarios in here. Not a college grad, laid off or fired, and is struggling to get a job currently. So I'm trying to figure out all the best ways to help them get a job currently. And then for privacy's sake, we'll call this person B. For what is happening right now, there's all of these unique scenarios. I went in depth in it previously, but right now I wanted to dig more into my thoughts from the previous video and then figure out what can we do from here and like make it more of like a systematized role. Excuse me. And basically what happened was I went through the whole previous this like whole last 3 4 hours I've been working with Gemini, I've been working with ChatGPT, I've been looking at my old client getting documents, systems, thinking through stuff, brainstorming, researching, and just trying to figure out ways of getting clients and making money in like the fastest way possible because he's doing a really good job at making money right now because there's going to be options that we talk about that there's going to be a lead time, especially with getting a job, that that doesn't make sense in this moment because he needs to pay rent right away. And one of the things I was working towards was how do we get money in the quickest way possible. So what I'm going to do is I was just thinking through this problem because this whatever I help create and whatever systems and ways of getting clients will be replicatable through everybody else because this is a more extreme scenario of how to shortcut it fast. So that's been something that's just been racking my brain is like how do I get him results now based on all the things that are hard, right? He doesn't unemployed, coded as termination, no college degree, career gap, recent boot camp grad, and then still working on making projects that look really good. Projects are good, but not competitive enough to get a job in this market. So, trying to figure out what are those ways. So, that's what we're going to be diving into today. And yeah, that's what's been racking my brain recently. I just been thinking about this for I've been thinking about this for a little bit. So let's pull this over. And I have so much notes. So that I didn't know how to record this video and I was actually pretty overwhelmed on like how much strategies and just there's so much noise to like filter through. So I'm just going to be working through a lot of the things that I just found and just questions that I had for myself together here and then hopefully that'll help me work towards through all of this and hopefully that adds some value to anyone who's watching this. So the first thing that I wanted to when I was thinking about this is this is a different this is a different set of problems instead of just the normal progression of somebody starting from scratch. When somebody's starting from scratch, if they're an office worker, that's like the ideal place and the ideal client that I can serve and coach because we can create as long as they touch data, they work with data in some capacity, we can pitch their skills and then we can start automating various parts of their work and then those become line items for a resume and like little mini projects and then you can build up to a really big project to pitch to your department to your boss. And those are easier to justify because you can just start with your own work and how much time you save and then you can quantify that into money saved. But for a lot of people who've been applying to the accelerator program, I used to call it the Get a Data Job Accelerator program, but is too long. So I'm just going to call it the Analytics Accelerator. So in the Analytics Accelerator, or AA, sounds like Alcoholics Anonymous, but whatever. In the accelerator, there's two main segments that I see: new grads or people in college, and then people who are applying right now who don't have experience. But I'm not working with many people I'm not working with anybody in the accelerator program that is a current office worker. So this is outside of my wheelhouse. I'm comfortable with working with office workers. So things change. And then now, because this scenario came up, it's okay, when rent is due, do we focus on getting a job, or do we focus on fast money gigs? So then when I was thinking about it originally, and I didn't think about this previously, is that getting a job or even going on Upwork, there is a lag in like when you're going to be able to get paid. Upwork has milestones. They have different ways that they're going to be paying, and then you can think about it. It could be anywhere from like 2 weeks plus, and then same with getting paid at a job. It could be 2 weeks, 3 weeks, or more, depending on their pay cycles. So thinking about that, it's we have to split this up into different tiers. And what B is doing is he's doing a combination of all of that. But because he's strapped for cash now, you need fast cash options, and emergency income was the way that AI was wording all of this. And what he's been doing is he's been singing in front of Walmart with his guitar because he used to tour. And now that's awesome that he's that talented and he has that grit to be able to make that much within to be able to cover his rent. So the first thing is, when you're thinking about this, is this pressure makes decisions and decision making extremely different, because you have rent due, rent or whatever expenses. It's you have the emotional, and then you have the financial pressures. Plus you have the time. So now it doesn't just become a job hunt strategy, it needs to become like a cash bridge. And we have to figure out how much time. And basically he has until the end of the month, and he just needs $500 more, but he was able to generate, I think, about 500 within 3 days. So hopefully it's not raining over there anymore, and he's out there. I haven't heard from him recently, so I'd imagine he's hustling his ass off right now, which is awesome. He has the work, the grind, and the dedication to see it through. So I know he'll figure this out. It's just this is a unique scenario to I want to help him as much as possible. And then when you think about like getting a job, there's also going to be, it's like 2 to 5 weeks on average, because you have to go through multiple interviews. Then you have to do the your offer, the background check, and then your first paycheck. It could be a month, like we were talking about. So we need survival income. Think about it as like I mentioned, a cash bridge. This is a bridge. This is random, but one of my favorite things now, because I got this tablet, is I get to draw. I get to draw really bad drawings, but it makes me happy. And we have emergency income paths. So emergency income. These are all the things that you need to do to make money in the shortest amount of time possible. He was able to use a talent and then be able to play in public places and make tips. If I was younger and I was in that same situation, I would be a dancer and just freestyle out there and just make money as fast as possible as well. Then like that would be honestly one of the things I would do if I was like strapped on cash trying to figure out how to make it work. Now, the other things that you can do that I know personally that people have done is first is ride shares. If you have a nice enough car, Uber, Lyft, and Grab if you're international or whatever your local thing is. You also have with Uber, you have food delivery. And then you'll have to search up your local market, but DoorDash and what are the other ones? DoorDash, Instacart. Oh, Uber Eats. Instacart. Uber Eats. And then other things, there's admin work that you could focus on. The turnaround time for admin work, you can get same day pay. And I didn't know about this. I found out about this platform. I've heard about it before on the entrepreneur side, but not actually like rendering services and getting paid for it. So like TaskRabbit. And then so you can position yourself if you're an aspiring analyst with, I'm going to assume just the basic analyst skill set: Excel, SQL, Power BI, Tableau, Python maybe, or R. So TaskRabbit, and then you could just do data entry and admin, and then you can always pitch it that you can automate all the manual tasks, because if you're working in data entry, you'll probably be or reporting, you'll probably be able to figure out, okay, I can automate this, and then that could lead into higher paying positions and projects, proposals that you can internally pitch. So that's one way of just doing data entry and then trying to find opportunities for you to pitch an internal project for extra money. The other thing that AI suggested was Craigslist. This used to be really good. I think before like Facebook Marketplace and OfferUp and Nextdoor, and I forgot what the one where you can hire handymen locally. A lot of this was offered on Craigslist. However, recently I went on there and I didn't really find anything good. It was very questionable. So with Craigslist, you have to be there's so many scams on Craigslist, and I would probably I would browse it and just be very very careful. I personally wouldn't use it, but I'm just mentioning it here because it was something that was brought up by AI, and I know friends who used to sell stuff on Craigslist that used to do a bunch of stuff and then offer they got jobs on Craigslist. It's just not the same. So check Craigslist, check Facebook Marketplace, check OfferUp. OfferUp I think is just products. So, but you could think of places like that. And then basic services, basic data cleanup services that you would offer to local businesses. This is going to require a lot of cold outreach. Cold outreach, or you have to be willing to put yourself in high pressure social situations by cold calling or reaching out and trying to get to the managers, trying to get to anyone who can make a financial decision, the owners, and then let's just say decision makers. and then being able, if you're confident enough to be able to pitch in person, this is something that I would look into. If I was starting from scratch and needed money, I would be reaching out to all the like the local businesses, and I would make that play. I'd just be like, here's what I can do. Um, I'll do it for free as a trial. You could see if you like it or not. And if you don't like it, you don't pay anything. If you do like it, then just pay what it's worth. And then because I need the money, I'm literally hustling my way, and I'm just down on my luck. I'm a bootcamp grad, and I just need to be able to make rent, and I'm just trying to make do. You're gonna find various business owners, entrepreneurs who appreciate the hustle, the grind, and will be willing to take a risk on you if you pitch it and you can pull on that emotional side. At least that's what I would do. And I know off the top of my head, if you're able to reach certain business owners, even just going door to door if you had to, that they would give you that opportunity. How much work is that gonna take is something that I don't we're gonna talk about soon. And then the other thing is Upwork, but here's a caveat with Upwork. This is gonna be Upwork small tasks if you can find it. So there's gonna be like really short tasks that you could probably finish within like an hour or like a day, and then but clearing and depending on like how they pay and like the milestones will depend on like if this is viable. So you have to look into the various work proposals and like what all the other companies and the gigs that are offered if it will pay in time. You can't take on long projects depending because being on the employer side, I've hired people on the employer side. You can set your terms. You can do. I'm pretty sure it used to be half now, half later, and then you can pay for milestones, and you can also pay for hourly. And I don't know when it clears on the other side, so that would be something that you would have to double check as well. So those were the biggest things of like, okay, bridge, you have to have a cash bridge, emergency income, do that right away. And the other way of doing this is there are strategies of being able to make this work, right? Well, let me just double check. Oh no. Okay. Excuse me being a noob. And okay, let's zoom in. Okay, let's move this over. Okay. There are four main ways of doing this, right? Alex Ramosi talks about this, and there are basically four channels. Oh man, click. Okay, four channels finally. First one is going to be warm outreach, cold outreach, ads. So this is paid ads. Paid ad usually, but it could be physical ads. And then content. Content and ads, these are going to be out. You might be able to get clients through doing flyers, but then that costs money too. And content takes time. So I wouldn't focus on this in terms of making money now because these are longer term strategies. Warm outreach is probably the easiest. Reach out to business owners that you know, your church, any other communities that you're part of, and let them know that you can help them out. And then you just make it a risk free offer. I can help save you time, I can help save you money. And we'll talk about the strategies of making this work. And just let me do an audit, do a data audit, and then we'll see if this makes sense and how much I could save you. and then I'll work on the project. If you like it, you can pay me for it. If not, I'll just use it as a portfolio piece, and then you can still use it as well. So it's still a win-win, but in terms of making money right away, it's also a risk. So friends and family. And one of the things that you can also do is when you talk to friends and family, you want to bring this up as a talking point if they can make a referral or if they know anyone who needs help. Cold outreach. You're going to scrape or look for any place that has any directories with, let me see if I could join. I think this is the wrong way of drawing a phone, but that's a phone. And this one's going to be email. So you have Yelp, you have Google, and you have, that's for cold calling or cold emailing. And then you also just can go to a plaza, business district, and then just look out for no solicitors and like all of those signs. And then you can make pitches directed to various business owners and then just walk in, because at that point you have to do what you have to do. But I would also do research on Google. I would do research on Yelp and then find the business addresses where it makes the most sense, where those businesses and their data equals dollars. Because the better that they can utilize their data and you can utilize it to show the money saved or money that they're losing and the money that they can save or money that they can gain, the easier the sell is going to be. So these are the main ways I would look at it. You can also think of various platforms for cold outreach. You can think of LinkedIn. But if you don't have any experience and if you don't have really good projects on LinkedIn, it'll be it'll be harder to make the pitch. That's why I think friends and family is the way to go, plus referrals, but also in-person pitching is probably the other way to go as well. And then also, I mentioned this last time, if you could go to events where there are going to be business owners or people who make financial decisions and you can pitch them and there's going to be a lot of people there, you can still make that emotional pitch there and you have a higher chance of getting a conversion or just getting a client that way too. But you have to be, the biggest thing that you're racing around is time. Let me see if I can make it look more like a clock. Okay, you're racing around time. So you have to think of activities that are the highest leverage. Also with cold outreach, I forgot about this. Social media. Interacting on social media. So this is where you would do cold outreach. You could send them videos, you could reply in their comments. And for small businesses, they're gonna have social media, but they're not gonna be inundated with comments. And if they're posting regularly, then that's something that you can reach out to and you'll most likely find a channel that they'll see. So you can make a video showing the value that you can bring, and those are different ways that you can take advantage of getting a client now. So after, so these are the ways of doing it and the channels that you can do it, the strategies. Okay, so after you have your bridge and you're no longer trying to figure out how to survive. So you no longer have to figure out how to survive. You have enough leeway to at least make it to the next month. What is next? So this is what I've been thinking about is now we have to do gigs that will pay, but will lead you more towards getting you the experience to get an analyst job. So now after you make the income to be able to survive, now you bought yourself enough time to be able to apply to jobs, but also in the meantime, you need to make money to be able to pay off next month's rent, right? So you can do both tasks, but first you need to secure at least some type of recurring income or like some type of income. And also because the job market is slow, one of the things I've been thinking about is just do we focus on, is it going to be gig work on like Upwork? Do we do temp work through agencies? Is it contract work through agencies as well? Or recruiters? Do you pitch this to recruiters? And then realistically, or do we focus on a job? Because these are all various avenues, and I would focus on all of them because you have a lot of you at this point you have a lot of time. I would figure out the best ways to like make templates, use AI to figure out all the recruiters in my area, all the temp agencies, and that's what B has done already. Reached out to all the agencies, all the temp agencies in the area, contract work, and then he's already exhausted these options. But if you're watching this, and when I create this system in general, I'm adding this into here. So, and then on top of that, he sent so many resumes and portfolio projects, and with his specific resume, he needs better portfolio projects, and he doesn't have the experience. So what I'm thinking about is, in the meantime, getting short-term work that will build short-term work, at least short-term data work, because once you secure your first client, this is first client, you can now say you are, depending on what the task was, you can now say you're a data analyst, and then you get, or business analyst, depending on what the requirement was and like what they were looking for. You can fit these roles, and then you would say pro bono, or actually no, it'll be free. So it's not pro bono. It's not free. So you can actually just put freelance data analyst or contract data analyst or temp data analyst. You can just add that in that qualifier. So through getting these gigs, you'll be able to make the money to make rent for the next month, because what we need to do is we need to keep extending. Just think of these as like road, like a runway, and each of these are months. So the more money and the more gigs that you can get, not only are you getting experience, but you're increasing your one runway so that you can get a job. And then you're able to stack these small wins to move further. So what I'm thinking about now is, I was thinking of this with like ChatGPT and Gemini earlier, is doing both. But then you also, how do you split your time? And because this will give you the steady income that you need, and then you can finally get the experience. The other thing that you can also do, another thing that he's been trying to do as well, is not necessarily land a data job, but like if you're trying to get into an data analyst role, which is hard for one of the thing that a lot of people don't know is that business analyst, data analyst roles, they're typically not entry level roles. A lot of the junior data analysts, associate business analyst roles, I don't see anymore. We used to have them in our department, associate business analysts. I don't see them anymore, and they've been going away. And to get into like a data analyst position, business analyst position, it's typically 1 to 3 years. And that was when I did market research recently inside my local job market in Southern California. I was looking at entry level data analyst work, and it was 1 to 3. So what you would have to do, or another path that you can consider, is taking an analyst role below it. So it could be reporting analyst, it could be healthcare analyst. You could also take coordinator roles or admin roles as long as they touch data. Admin, coordinator roles, because you can apply your skill set, your analytics skill set into these roles to show more value, and then you're also building your resume and your portfolio projects of real experience through these roles. The only thing is you just need to make sure they work with data. And then that is a way to also bridge the gap when you need money. Because what I did was I graduated when I graduated in the aftermath of the 2008 financial crisis. It was a year after, and it was so hard to find a job because I was a marketing major. I was a double major. I was communications, PR, and marketing, and I couldn't find work at all. And what's the irony was I became a double major because I thought it would make me more valuable as as a candidate, as a job applicant, and like it did shit. It did not make me more appealing. And like looking at it, like my portfolio sucked. I didn't have an online portfolio. I didn't have a way, I just didn't have anything to send people. My pitch was bad, my resume was bad. And then as a new grad, it's hard to know how to pitch yourself and how to market yourself in the correct way. And then I couldn't get work. And I had mounting credit card debt that went to collections, and student loans that were happening. And I don't know if the credit card debt was at this time or maybe like right after I got a job, but I know I had a lot of bills, and I need to pay off stuff. Yeah, I think there was my credit card went to collections at that time. Either way, I had a lot of credit card debt, and then I kept deferring my student loans, and then it came to the point where like the interest was just piling up, and I needed to get a job, and I couldn't find a job. So what I did instead, I tried to apply everywhere. I tried to video game tester, receptionist, admin roles, coordinator roles, any roles. I tried to apply for it and I couldn't get. And then I just was temp data entry. But this job changed everything for me because it was temp data entry into a healthcare company, and then I proved my worth there. I did temp and data entry, then I could work inside the finance department underneath the CPA or the accountant. Then I got to learn more advanced or intermediate Excel at that time. And then I got to go in work for the department, one of the departments with the data analyst, and become the assistant to the data analyst. And that's where I got to get all my healthcare business knowledge, business domain knowledge. Healthcare XP. So I know people don't like this of just trying to get whatever job to get your foot in the door. It's been proven strategy for a long time. You can work your way up from here because this gave me the experience to eventually get my first analyst role. I became a benefits analyst, and then left, was able to finally do marketing, and the data analyst left, and then I got recommended by a lot of the directors I used to work with, and then I got the data analyst role. So it all started with me learning the business and getting the business domain knowledge through data entry. Now, that won't be that might be able to bridge the gap if you can just find an entry level position that works with data so that you can bridge the gap to make money now. Now, if that's not possible, let's look. If that's not possible, how much cold outreach do you need to do? One of the things I've grossly underestimated was the amount of work that people expect to do. And also with just cold outreach in general, how much numbers you need to do, like in business and marketing, how much traffic we actually had to have to make conversions and like make a sale. Because the way that people portray it online, it's not as easy as that, and it's like it's gonna take a lot of work unless you have the funds to automate this. And at this point in time, you probably don't, but there's ways to like automate or be able to send mass cold emails, and there's systems around that if you can scrape and be able to figure out leads. So basically, you're creating your own lead gen system that other businesses would have by like scraping websites, LinkedIn, Facebook, and then qualifying the various leads. And then you would reach out and then you'd have an automated process to send out pitches to all of those emails. That's like one way to leverage. That's actually one way to leverage AI currently, but it costs money. So let's just talk about like if you had to do this by hand, like what would the conversion metrics look like? Basically, how many people do I have to look out to? How many would I convert this into a sale? So this is rough. And this is based on ChatGPT, what ChatGPT Gemini gave me and like their estimates. And then I'll also say what I think they might be based on my experience. So let's start with Upwork. So with Upwork, to get one interview, one int, it says 10 to 20 proposals. And then we talked about this last time of like making a good proposal. You would have to create like a mini project if you don't have anything that's relevant for their project, a mini project and a video covering that project. And then you would have to also have your basic stuff like your portfolio and then anything else that you could send over that would make it look compelling enough. So then basically you would have to take 20 videos and then mini projects. If there's any overlap, it could be anywhere from like 10 to 20 projects. Eventually you'll get better and then you'll be sending it to like a specific niche and then you'll be able to reuse the same projects that you send over to them. But you would use this project would be based on their job description or their project description. Description. And because what I've been on the hiring side, I've hired uh, ad agencies and people to run ads. I've hired consultants on there and then other people as well. And I've also been on the other side. But everyone's just sending mass, not barely barely catered or barely crafted for the job description that you're putting out there. And if you can put like a video and give like an example of like what your work is going to be and it looks high quality, you're going to be beating out a majority of people who are applying. The only people who are going to beat you are probably going to be the ones who are very, very experienced. And but you're going to be applying to a lot of the beginner jobs in the beginning, so you don't have to worry about that. And then you can also your price will dictate will also have will play into if somebody's going to choose you. So there could be someone who's more experienced, but you could be cheaper. So there's ways to compete on different metrics to be able to get a job. For 10 to 20 proposals, yeah, I think that is a good conversion. Yeah. I think that'll be a good conversion, but if you want to set your expectations like more realistically, oh, then this is for an interview. It also depends on your profile. Let's say it's going to be 1% conversion to getting a client. I just want to set your expectations reasonably. It could be faster than this, but your writing your profile is going to be new. Your outreach is going to be new. Creating all of this is going to be new. But aim for 1% conversion. Usually, based on metrics and based on businesses that I've worked with in personal experience, in general, 1% conversion is probably expected, or it could be even 0.05 for cold outreach. So it is going to depend on how good you can make these and then your pitches. So if you set your expectations 100, that should make it better, and then it'll give you a clearer outcome. This could be more than this. I don't know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to test this and see, so I can give a better idea of how effective this is. What AI said too, or their numbers, is about 3 to 6 interviews equals 1 paying client. So they have more data than me. They've been trained on a lot of logs and like a lot of information. So it could be 1 interview equals 10 to 20 proposals, say 20 proposals. Then you need 20 proposals to get 6 interviews. Then you do 6 times 20, that's 120 into a client. So it's about what we were expecting. So anywhere from 100 to 120, if my math is right. I can't do math without Excel, so forgive me if it's wrong. Oh, sorry. It's late too. It's for 1 client. So this should set your expectations for the amount of effort that they might take on Upwork. Let's go to cold email. This is the one that I have the least experience with. So I'm just going to trust AI. And if you know better and you're watching, leave your thoughts below too on like what your own experience is. Small business, it is 1 to 5% reply rate. Reply rate. So then about 20 for 1 response. And then about 100 emails to 1 to 3 real conversations. So this is where like you set up like a consultation call, which is basically a discovery call, and then you go work through their pains and then see if your services can help them. Let's see. And then we still have what is this conversion, which could be, if you're new to sales, it could be anywhere from 10%. If you're good, or if your like product makes sense, it could be, I don't know if you're going to be able to hit 50% as a new salesperson, but let's say the range could be anywhere from here. Maybe it'll be higher. So then it's 100. You're reading converting 10% of these, so you probably need 10 real conversations. So that's going to be a lot of emails. This is a lot. What is that? That's 100 emails. Let's say 100 emails leads to 1 real conversation. And then you need 10 conversations to get a paying client. So 10 times 100, that is 1,000 emails to 1 paying client. So I hope this is starting to put into perspective how much work is supposed to go into this. Because like if I know how much work is supposed to go into this, I won't be like, oh, I sent a lot of emails. I sent 100 emails and I haven't got any responses yet. But now that I'm doing the math, I need to send 1,000 emails. I need to spend 100 emails, then I might get one. And then to get a paying client, it's going to be 1,000 emails. And then this is all just estimates from AI, so we don't know. And it all depends on how your skills with sales as well. But I'd rather have that expectation up front. Now, with cold calling, okay, it is 5 to 10% conversion rate. Conversion rate. And then again, I think we're seeing a trend here. 1 to 2% will be yes, send me something. That'll be scheduling an audit or this. I actually don't know what the sales funnel is supposed to be. We'll work on that in like a future video of because I did do telemarketing, but I was terrible at it. That was before I cared about sales. But yeah, yes, send me something or maybe booking. Uh, no, yeah, you probably have to sell right on the call. And yeah, send me something. I think there is a way to just because the services are going to be lower, there is a way to just sell on the phone. So we'll figure this out on a future call, but yeah. Because I have a friend who's really good and manages a sales team, and I will ask him on like how they sell digital services. So I'll ask him of like what best practices are and like what script he would recommend for cold calling because that's all his team does. Okay, next is going to be another cold outreach. This is going to be similar to cold. I think this is the same thing. This is AI just gave this to me too. Loom video audits. The thing I don't like about Loom, I think Loom there's a free tier, but I'm not sure. You can also use unlisted YouTube videos. The thing I don't like about Loom is as somebody who got pitched Loom a lot, I didn't know what Loom was, and I just didn't open it because I thought it was a scam and I was gonna hack my system back then. So there's probably people who think the same thing as well. So I think you'd be sending these Looms through DMs. Let's see the Looms. So social media, social, emails. What else could you send this? Mail. You know how like people put like physical flyers? You can just put the physical flyers inside their their mailbox or inside their office. Office. Okay, Loom. This actually has a higher conversion or higher reply rate. This is reply rate. So then about 20 videos equals 2 to 4 replies. Again, let's assume 10% conversion. So then you would need 10 replies for one paying customer or client. So the other thing that I want to mention too is even though this is for paying clients, this is also a great way for people to get the experience they need. So one of the things that you can do if you're just trying to look for experience, this is significantly easier for you because you can just pitch, I need the experience to get a full-time job and I don't have any hands-on experience. Here's what I can do. And then you just pitch them and I'm going to do it for free because I want the experience. Also, if B had more time, I would tell him to go that route and volunteer and then get testimonials and then be able to have people vouch for him and then so he can have a whole list of like testimonials because testimonials do great at selling people. But since he doesn't have that, you're just gonna have to go with the cold rate and then just rely on your sales skills and your effort to get a paying client. So 20, 10, 5. Okay, I can't do math. I'm tired. It's like, what time is it? It's already 4:21, so in the morning. So I will just do the math yourself. It's easy math, but I'm just drawing a blank right now. Here is what AI gave me as their estimate. So if someone is serious, it will take 10 outreaches, 10 outreaches per day minimum. This is minimum. That's 50 a week or 70 if you're working weekends. 200 a month. From here, 3 to 5 real leads. Real leads. And then from this, expect 1 to 2 paying clients. Hold on, let me check if it's recording. Thank God. I was afraid that this video was not recording, and then I would have cried myself to sleep. So I think this is a more realistic expectation of what the amount of effort it's going to take to get a paying client. So the things that are going to cut this down is how effective you are at selling your marketing and your sales material, your tonality, your network, and then just being lucky. Then after that, it's just your grit and placing yourself in front of the right people, and then being able to figure out how to shorten that and make it easier for you to reach out to more people. But yeah, this gives you a good starting point of all the different methods. Reach out to Upwork, reach out to businesses. You can do it on LinkedIn, cold calling them, and then pitching them with the data skills that you have. So I'm gonna stop there before this video gets too long, and I'm gonna continue later today, probably tomorrow morning, early morning again, if I don't sleep and not wake up till later. Knock on wood. I mean, I want to wake up, but yeah, this is after you have your emergent income, and then the various ways that you can get a paying client after. So these are my thoughts of like how he can do it, and just putting more structure to this. And then what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to tighten this framework up and then add in more details, do more research, reach out to my friend, create the scripts, prompts to speed this up for people inside the accelerator so that they can actually get client experience and also paid clients. So we'll see if this works. This is going to be a test. If you want to be a part of that and you're an aspiring analyst, and you're trying to break into data analytics and you want experience in a paying client, this is join the accelerator program. Link is in the description below. It's free right now, so just join and yeah, test this out with me. Would love to have you there. And until next time, I'm gonna go to sleep because I'm tired. I'll see you in the next video. Good night.